Hello everyone, welcome to another weekly installment of the Hack.com Week in Review. Once again, my name is Sam Borgi, Chief Editor at Hacked. Thank you again for joining us. Just a quick update here on my microphone status. I have ordered a microphone. It has yet to arrive, so this should be the last week that you'll get to hear any of the unnecessary feedback that you might get through the microphone. So beginning next week, my voice will be much clearer as my new microphone arrives. Thank you all for your patience once again. So it was another interesting week in the market, of course. Those of us who are following cryptocurrency, those of us who are following stocks, commodities, we saw a lot of movement amid the Thanksgiving holiday in the United States. And over the next few minutes, we just want to give you a brief recap of what happened, why it happened, and perhaps give you some insight about what could happen as we head into December. So, very basic agenda. We're going to give you a week in review. We're going to take a look at the global cryptocurrency market, especially focusing on Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're going to do a Hack.com recap, and then what you should be watching next week based on the parameters that we've identified. So the week in review, of course, Bitcoin was a major story this week, and at the time of that I put this presentation together here on Saturday, Bitcoin spiked again above 8,500. So we have seen multiple record highs for Bitcoin this week. Prices have surged past $8,000. We're seeing expectations of higher institutional demand. We're seeing a lot of well-known investors and media moguls supporting Bitcoin. Also, technical drivers seem to show that people are continuing to enter the market for fear of missing out. So overall volumes are very high. We did see Bitcoin rise over $500 over the past 5 days, en route to multiple record highs. It's been an absolute tear since that dip that you see here in mid-November. That was caused by the uncertainty related to the SegWit 2x hard fork. After prices shook off that failed attempt to fork the currency, we saw Bitcoin absolutely spike ever since. So that's the outlook on Bitcoin. As you're all aware, we are in very, very, very bullish territory. Now, of course, this is really extending now to altcoins. Over the past while, prior to the past few weeks, I should say, there seemed to have been a divergence between Bitcoin and altcoins, right? We saw Bitcoin rise and altcoins fall. It seems like there was only a certain amount of capital in the market, and investors were diverting most of it into Bitcoin at the expense of the altcoins. But this week and last week, we have seen a notable upsurge in the price of altcoins, chief among them being Ethereum. Ether prices have surged this week, up over $460 over the past 5 days. Or sorry, I should say over $130 over the past 5 days, reaching a high of $467 on Saturday. So Ethereum has been on a tear as well. And again, a lot of the same drivers that we're seeing with respect to Bitcoin. We are seeing some talk about perhaps an Ethereum-based derivative. Overall, technical traders seem to favor Ethereum now. Prices have risen above key psychological milestones across key technical resistances. And this is the first major rally that we've seen in Ethereum in months. So as I mentioned, the crypto demand drivers, we saw higher volumes across the board, especially in South Korea. South Korea continues to be a major center for cryptocurrency trading. Earlier this week, the financial watchdog there said, you know what, we're not going to be monitoring cryptocurrency carefully. We are supervising the market at a broader level, but we're not going to be implementing any changes anytime soon because we don't really consider cryptos to be a currency yet. So overall, it seems like South Korea will maintain its laissez-faire attitude toward cryptocurrency, at least for now. Volumes in the country are rising significantly. South Korea is among the top turnover countries when it comes to cryptos. Of course, institutional demand, we've been talking notably about CME and CBOE announcing plans for Bitcoin futures. There is some talks now about an Ethereum-based derivative. Lots of chatter that has favored the cryptocurrency market. Speculation has been positive for the crypto market in recent weeks. As we know, speculation hasn't always been positive for the space in previous times. Of course, major investors and high net worth individuals are also backing cryptocurrency. We have a couple articles covering that on Hack.com this week. A lot of really bullish valuations on the cryptos. I know that quite a few investors, quite a few analysts believe that Bitcoin is going to reach $10,000 before the end of the year, something that you should keep in mind as you move along. Of course, the failure of SegWit 2x has not only underpinned Bitcoin, It has supported as well Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash, I didn't mention it in the previous slide, but it also had a very robust week, hitting highs above 1,600. So we are seeing overall positive vibes heading toward the cryptocurrency market. So before we, circle back to the broader crypto market, I just want to say a few words about the index market that we saw over the past 5 days. U.S. stocks have broken a 2-week downtrend, with the S&P and the Nasdaq closing at record highs on Friday. We also saw the Dow, hit record levels earlier this week. Overall, volatility is low. Stocks continue to rise amid expectations of tax reform. We know that President Trump will push hard for tax reform in the next couple of weeks. We will see whether or not that comes to fruition. European stocks also finished higher when you look at the Euro Stoxx 600 and the Euro Stoxx 50. Although the market did seem to be taken aback by Chinese volatility, we saw China get hit with significant volatility on Thursday after Beijing announced plans to curb market speculation. And we've seen this so many times now, right? I mean, if you go back a couple of years, we know that regulatory action in China has been a massive disincentive for the stock market. This goes back to at least mid-2015 with the depegging of the yuan, or I should say the lowering or changing the reference rate on the yuan compared to the US dollar. And we saw significant action from the People's Bank of China and the central government into the early part of 2016 and onward. So as China looks to curb its debt levels and looks to curb speculation, stocks could get rattled. So you should definitely keep your eye out on China if you're a stock trader. Of course, the global cryptocurrency market continues to rise at a feverish pace. We have broken above $275 billion based on this chart according to CoinMarketCap. That is, of course, the highest level ever. Bitcoin continues to control more than half the market, although the share has declined now that altcoins appear to be making a comeback. In terms of Hack.com, we are, of course, ramping up our coverage. I know that I myself have been releasing several longer articles over the past couple of weeks, so hopefully you're finding those more informative. We covered 4 ICOs this week. There is a backlog that's about to come out again moving forward. The ICO analysis, we appreciate your patience on them. They do take quite a bit of time, as you're all aware. We have to become immersed in the ICO itself, understand what it's about, read the white paper, and then report back. So last couple of weeks we've seen a significant number of ICO coverage. This week was a little bit lower, but many more are on the way. In fact, this week we saw a lot more trade recommendations, if you're all familiar with that. I know we've gotten demand, or we've gotten requests for more trade recommendations across the crypto sphere, even into maybe some currencies as well. We got a lot of trade recommendations this week covering the various cryptocurrencies. And that's reflected in the most read articles of the week. As you see, trade recommendations do come up a few times. Of course, the article on Ethereum playing catch up with Bitcoin was the top article of the week, as well as the breakout article on Ethereum, also in the top 5. So very active. We thank you for reviewing the articles and expect many more over the next 7 days. So what should you watch over that period? Of course, altcoins are gaining momentum. Let's take a look at that. Let's monitor that. Let's see whether or not altcoins and Bitcoins continue to move in the same direction, or whether we see a divergence once again. The Bitcoin rally continues uninterrupted, so cryptocurrencies seem to be moving higher. On the stock perspective, of course, we are now entering the Santa Claus rally, a very favorable period for U.S. equities as well as global equities. Keep an eye on tax reform. If it's going to get done, it might get done this week. It's been described as a make-or-break week for the Trump administration and really pushing forward on tax reform. And of course, global economic data. Lots of data releases this week that could impact the market. Keep your eye on that. And that covers it. We thank you for your time. Hopefully it's been informative, and you'll hear again next week from the Hack.com team for our weekly webinar, hopefully with my microphone. Okay, so take care, have a great weekend, and we'll